Good morning and welcome everyone. My name is Linda Weaver and I'm the Director of Religious Education at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston. Our minister, the Reverend Dr. Deborah Hafner, is on leave through January. We are so glad you are here to worship with us today. We are also delighted to have Cynthia Young, our music director, and her husband, David Young, here sharing their experiences in the U.S. Foreign Service. This seems especially appropriate today after the events at the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, and as we look toward the inauguration on the 20th. Now, let's all say good morning to each other in the chat room. Please make sure to choose the option for panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your comments. And then say hello or good morning to each other. If you're visiting, please tell us your name and where you're from in the chat box so that we can welcome you. If you're new to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, know that you are so welcome here. And if you send us an email at the end of the service, we will put you on our mailing list for more information. We have one announcement. Everyone is invited to sign up today to be part of our new video of the Congregation's Covenant. The sign-up link was sent out in this week's e-blast and is available on our website homepage. We want to encourage as many of you as possible to join this community video. Cynthia promises us that you don't even have to sing in tune to participate. This project is about creating community and showing our love for each other and our church. Please do sign up today and join the choir in this virtual community singing. As we mentioned, our minister, the Reverend Dr. Deborah Hafner, is on leave, and Cynthia Young, our music director, is leading service this morning with David Young. Jesse Leong, our accompanist, is also with us today. Mike Schmidt is running the technical side of worship, and Beth DiPasquale is our usher in the chat room. Beth will also be hosting our virtual meet and greet, which will happen as soon as our service is over. So please do stay tuned after the postlude to get the link for that. On this Sunday, after a difficult week, we light a candle of sorrow and hope as we do from time to time. And we offer up a prayer for our country. We lift up and hold in our hearts and minds all people affected by violence and hate, all affected by the pandemic, those who work for justice, those who care for the sick, and all essential workers who make life possible. As Reverend Deborah ended her prayer at the Reston Herndon Interfaith Online Vigil on Thursday night, let us pray together. Let us commit together. Let us rededicate ourselves to create beloved community, one day at a time, and all our days ahead. Let us all say together, Amen. Now, let's center ourselves and enter into a time of worship by taking a deep, quieting breath together.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Young. I am the music director at UUCR. I am so excited for this service about multiculturalism, where my husband and I will be sharing with you some of our experiences from our life in the Foreign Service. Our prelude is the song Aratan, written and performed by two musicians whom we had the honor of knowing in Burkina Faso. Patrick Cabre, who is from Ouagadougou, the capital city, and Sidi, a Malian musician. Patrick met Sidi at a refugee camp in the north of Burkina as part of an amazing project he founded to bring music to Malian refugee children. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. Aratan is sung in two languages, Moré, a major language in Burkina Faso, and Tamashek, the language of the Tuareg people. Patrick is Moré and Sidi is Tuareg. Scenes in the video are from the streets of Ouagadougou and refugee camps in the north. In this song, the two musicians play with the idea of tensions that can exist between people from different cultures, Tuareg and Moray. We're going to share with you now Aratan.
سنة تعزانا كلنا سنة تعزانا ديوان نارتنا ديوان نارتنا نانا يا أسرنا نانا يا أسرنا wasay Kolong kelanga ya kolong kelanga biga siabada ya kolong kelanga biga simpundi yabada me boda ma yabada me boda ba ya kolong kelanga kelo biga siabada Il recherche le sourire, sourire, où es-tu? Oh, yeah, big yabada, yabada man, borama, yeah, big yabada, oh, yeah, big yabada, borama. كلنا سنة زانا كلنا سنة زانا Basahara, Nana ya Basahara.
Our opening words are from Crossing Bridges by Jan Tadeo. Unitarian Universalists step out into the unknown all the time as we embark on our spiritual adventures. We go searching for new ways to make meaning of our lives, to create a more just and loving world. We seek creative ways to raise our children with inquiring minds and loving hearts. We cross bridges and borders as we learn to navigate the multicultural world around us that challenges us to expand our worldview and embrace new ways of engaging a changing world. With mentors and friends to guide and support us as we approach new bridges, it is not such a leap of faith to trust that we will arrive at the distant shore. Together, we can boldly go where our vision and our faith call us to go. We invite you to join us as Jesse as he leads us in singing our opening hymn, number 159, This Is My Song. The words will be in your chat box. Please sing along with Jesse.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. This is my truer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and vine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and the skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
It is the time in our service for our chalice lighting. You may wish to light a candle in your home while we enjoy the photo of our own beautiful UU Reston chalice. Our chalice lighting words are by Nelson Mandela, the first president of democratic post-apartheid South Africa. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. In our church, we sing a covenant together every Sunday. Love is the spirit of this church. We will sing along with our own UUCR virtual choir. The words will appear in your chat box. If you are visiting us for the first time this morning, please accept this song as our blessing to you.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in
is the time for all ages, so gather round your screen. Our story this morning is about Razik Brown, and part of it is from Peace Begins With Me, which was adapted from an interview. At the age of 19, Razik Brown received the Mary Ella Holst Young Activist Award, which is given each year by the Unitarian Universalist Association. The award honors an individual, youth, or group who is advancing human rights and social justice through activism and leadership with the UU Service Committee. Razik's activism has taken him around the world and helped him understand how all people are connected. In the interview, he talked about an experience in Sierra Leone, where his mother is from. He says, "I visited Freetown, Sierra Leone at Christmas, and this opened my eyes to how corporatized Christmas is in the United States. Don't get me wrong, I love Christmas, but at the time, Sierra Leone was the poorest nation in the world. And I had seen poverty before, but I had never seen poverty like that before." Razik said that though some people had money, many had very little. And he went on to say, there was no running water, the electricity went out, and there were literally kids starving in the streets. Christmas in that setting was completely different. I had these feelings of knowing that I wanted to do something, but what could I do? I was only 15 at the time. I could have given away all my money to people in the streets, but then there would have been more people asking for money the next day. I believed that the world was really great, but I was seeing that the world wasn't the same for everybody, like it should be, which got me thinking. Then one day at a house down the road from where my aunt lived, I saw that a little boy was really cut up after falling out of a tree. He was probably 3 years old, and I asked his older brother, who was probably 18, to take him to the hospital. It turned out the family didn't have the money. Well, I saw the little boy a few times over the next couple of days, and he wasn't looking good at all. And then I walked past their house, and I saw this little boy lying in a pool of his own vomit with flies flying all around him, and he was green. He had gangrene, which means a wound was very badly infected. And it just hit me. Oh, this is how little kids die. This is what high child mortality rate looks like. This is something that actually happens in the world. And I went straight to my aunt, who I knew had the money, and asked her to help this family by giving them the money for the hospital. She did. And 3 days later, this little boy is running around like nothing's happened. And that's how I started to figure out what social justice means, and that it begins with me, with all of us. It's about making tough decisions. I look at the Unitarian Universalist 7 principles as a guide. They don't tell you what to do. No higher power figures it out for you. You've got to figure it out for yourself. Razik, by opening his eyes and his mind to understand what other people experience, discovered what it really means to live by his UU values and to connect with other people. Let's hear a little more directly from him in a video shared by the Youth and Young Adult Ministries of the Unitarian Universalist Association.
In the years I've been doing this stuff, I found that identity-based work has not only expanded my world, but has also helped me better understand people. Whether I'm cleaning floors with East African janitors, living in a house with international roommates, tutoring children from low-income neighborhoods, or even simply planning parties. Cross-cultural understanding is an important part of becoming a multicultural American, an open-minded Unitarian, and a welcoming world citizen. I've traveled all around the world, from the Middle East, the Far East, Africa, Europe, and the Americas, and the cross-cultural communication skills I've learned from Unitarian Universalism have been a gift. We may not all be activists. Some of us are artists, engineers, public servants, and assistant managers, but the skill to look past one's outward differences and to empathize with others is invaluable in any workplace or community. We, members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, and the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Learning and working with issues of cross-cultural communication is one of the ways we can affirm our values. Thank you.
This is the time in our service when we invite you to share your joys and cares for yourself, your family, our community, and our world. This will be a little shorter than normal since there will be no meditation this morning, but we hope that in sharing, you will know that you are not alone. Perhaps you might want to light a candle in your home to mark what is in your heart as we watch the candles in our bowl in the sanctuary. In chat, please make sure you're writing to all attendees, and please remember that anything you write is public. As we put up the slide of our lit candles, please enter into a time of silence and let each other's joys and concerns wash over you. Spirit of life and love, we lift up in thought and prayer those who are facing hardships and challenges, those dealing with COVID, Judy and Stu, as Stu is in the hospital, and all who are confronting challenges. May all find comfort in this community. We hold up this country hoping for a peaceful transfer of power and the strengthening of democracy and coming together in hope for the future. Even in the midst of difficult times, there is joy, and we lift up those celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, special achievements. Say happy birthday to Martha and congratulations to Jackie and her baby. May all of the joys here be multiplied in the sharing with this community. And may all gathered here be held in light, and may we carry the spirit of love out into the world. Amen, and blessed be.
In many of our foreign service posts, I organized international choirs involving local people and foreigners from all around the world. We often had so many languages and accents, it made blending our vowels an enormous challenge. My choir in Burkina Faso was called Les Voix de la Fille. La Fille is a Moray word, which means peace, and les voix means voices in French. So we were the voices of peace. I want to share with you a clip from a Les Voix de la Fille concert. I have chosen to share a live performance of the song Connected. This is the song which, 2 years later, living back in Arlington and with my new job here at UU Reston, I decided to recreate as a virtual choir video, combining singers from UUCR and our friends in Burkina. The words of the song speak for themselves, but I do want to take just a moment to tell you a bit about this group. This group of singers were so brave, and we went through a lot of challenging times together. After a terrible terrorist attack in downtown Ouagadougou, for example, the choir did not want to take rehearsal off to stay home for security reasons. They wanted to come, be together, and sing. Unfortunately, this happened several times during our stay, and each time we held rehearsal. Coming to rehearsal was no small feat for some of our singers who rode motos long distances on unpaved roads to get to rehearsal. I think only 1 or 2 people in the choir besides David and I spoke English in their homes. Many of them did not read music. The ambassador from Denmark was in our group, as well as other diplomats, local journalists, teachers, students, and employees of our US Embassy. This song was part of our final concert together, which was titled, I Am, You Are Me.
I am, you are me. That's what I said. I am, you are me. Don't you see? I am, you are me. That's what I said. I am, you are me. Don't you see? I am, you are me.
And you're over there.
That's what I said. I am, you are me.
That's greater than air.
Don't you see?
It seems like I'm over
am,
here.
you are me.
And you're over there.
That's what I said. I
Something
am,
between
you
us
are me.
that's greater than air.
Don't you
It
see?
seems like
I
I'm no
am,
confusion.
you are me.
It's not hard to do.
That's what I said.
It's just an
I am,
illusion.
you are me.
That's greater than air.
Don't you
It
see?
seems like I'm no
I am,
confusion.
you are me.
And you're over there.
That's what I said.
It's just an illusion.
are me.
That's greater than air.
Don't you see?
It's like I'm no
I
confusion.
am,
It's not hard to do.
it's a fact. So much on me.
It's like I'm no
I
confusion.
am,
It's not hard to do.
it's a fact. So much on me.
It's like I am a part of you. You are a part of me. And so together we are one body. I am inside your head. You are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start.
I am, you are me. That's what I said. I am, you are me. Don't you see?
It's like I'm over
am,
here,
you are
and
me.
you're over there.
That's what I said.
But there is something between us that's greater.
It's like I'm over here,
I'm over here.
it's not hard to do.
That's what I say. But there is something between us that's greater.
It's like I'm over
I
here,
am,
it's not hard to do.
it's a fact. So much on me.
It's like I'm over
I
here,
am,
it's not hard to do.
it's a fact. So much on me.
It's like I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start. I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start. I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start.
I am so happy to introduce my husband to you, David Young. Many of you will recognize him as a singer in our UUCR choir. David is a wonderful bass and has always gamely sung in all my various choirs. He is joining me today because Reverend Deborah asked us if we would talk with you about our life in the Foreign Service. David just retired after serving for 27 years as a U.S. Foreign Service officer. So thank you, David, for being here.
Good morning. It's great fun to be here with you all.
We titled our conversation, Why UUs Make Good Diplomats. When we started planning this, reflecting on the arc of our entire Foreign Service life, it jumped out at us how our motivations for being in the Foreign Service align so amazingly well with Unitarian Universalist principles. I want to quickly add here what our UU background is. My mother joined the Unitarian Church in Arlington in the late 1950s. I attended Sunday school in that church as a child. Even though we were abroad for years at a time, my father also is a Foreign Service officer, and I will touch a little more on that later. The UU Church in Arlington was a touchstone for my mother and for us. David, you have been a UU, I think, for 20 years now?
That is true. In fact, it started with a UU choir rehearsal.
Of course it did. You always had your priorities right. Choir first. So I want to start by asking you, why do you think UUs make good diplomats?
Well, the Foreign Service is about service, connection, and respect. And those are foundational UU principles. Diplomats represent first the American people. They represent American values. They represent American institutions and the Constitution. And we swear a solemn oath to defend the Constitution, as do all US government employees, the military, and even Peace Corps volunteers. So I did it at least twice. Also, American diplomats represent the US government administration. The ambassador is the head of the mission. We all support him, and he is the personal representative of the US president. And so we always approach this awesome responsibility with humility, but with humor also. Our key task was to understand the local situation, the local people, perspectives, and the government. And the key aspect for us was just to be people-to-people diplomacy. And our families were with us, spouses and children, and they were informal ambassadors. So I'd like to thank you for being such an effective informal ambassador, Cynthia.
Thank you for saying that. It is true that for us, being in the Foreign Service was a family endeavor. Our daughters were so fortunate to have had so many amazing opportunities to live abroad, and they also did an incredible job carrying the flag for our country. I can relate to feeling patriotic pride and joy fill your heart as a child when you have that sense that you also are representing your country overseas as part of your family's mission and as part of the US Embassy mission. As I mentioned, my father was also a Foreign Service officer. He was a Marine posted in Japan in the mid-50s, then joined the Foreign Service and had an outstanding 37-year career. I'm so happy to say that my dad, Jay Taylor, has joined us this morning from his home in Decatur, Georgia. Hi, Dad. Thank you so much for being here and for inspiring us to join the Foreign Service. So when we talk about being part of the Foreign Service family, it really is baked into our DNA. David, you first served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Cameroon before we met. So the idea of serving by making connections with people in other countries was a calling for you. Can you give us a brief overview of the variety of postings you had?
Well, we have had the privilege and honor to serve in a diversity of posts as I followed in my father-in-law's footsteps. We are, first off, Africa hands. After my Peace Corps service in Cameroon, we've served together in Gabon, in Central Africa, in the country of South Africa, and our final posting in Burkina Faso, in West Africa, where I served as Deputy Chief of Mission, the #2 to the ambassador. We also served in amazing places on other continents. We served in India, France, Turkey, and I served a year by myself in the challenging situation in southern Iraq. Through all these posts, this amazing, beautiful diversity, the common thread was languages. Languages was the way to communicate with people, create connections, show respect, build bridges. And so we made an effort to be able to communicate in local languages. And the bottom line was it put smiles on people's faces.
Yes, it did. And David does have a real gift for languages, but I can also attest that it is hard work. David committed himself to learning the local languages everywhere we went. In South Africa, he could start public speeches with greetings in all 11 of their official languages. In Burkina, David could carry on conversations in, I think, at least 4 of the local languages. In Turkey, at the height of the Iraq War, David connected with an initially very hostile crowd by being able to speak to them directly in Turkish. We really felt time and again the power and importance of learning other people's languages. Traveling as a family was also really important. We found that people were so happy to hear when we took the time to explore their country, to learn more about their history and culture, and to appreciate the natural beauty of their land. Traveling was also a way to connect with people outside of the capital city where the embassies are located. David, you often traveled to participate in unique local sporting events because David really enjoys outdoor sporting activities. Like you did bike races in Cape Town, you climbed with a group to the top of Mount Ararat in Turkey. What's another example?
Well, foreign service folks collect stories, and we have a few. So here's an example of diving into a local situation. I participated in an annual swimming competition across the Bosphorus Straits, from Asia, the Asian side of Istanbul, to Europe, the European side of Istanbul. This was organized by the Turkish National Olympic Committee. They stopped the Russian tankers for 2 hours, and there was this amazing race through this history, this amazing history place that used to be Constantinople and then Istanbul. And this was a very Turkish event and activity. All the instructions were in Turkish. I was with many Turkish men and a few women, and I went with the flow. So they were lathering on Vaseline, some notion of reducing friction, insulation, but I think it was about macho. It felt macho. So what an amazing experience. I placed in my age group, so there was some honor and glory. But this was just an example of our approach of immersing ourselves in people-to-people diplomacy. And I often told people, well, I had a day job at the embassy, but I was really there to support Cynthia and her awesome cultural diplomacy.
For me, it was natural to use music as a way to connect. As I touched on before, some of the most meaningful times we had in the Foreign Service were in our choirs. I often looked for local choir directors to collaborate with, and we would put on joint concerts, raising money when we could for local charities. One of the groups I founded, Ankara A Cappella, is still going strong in Turkey, which makes me really happy. In order to highlight one of the times when, through music, I felt we made an impact, I want to circle back to our friend, the musician, Patrick Cabret, who we heard sing in the prelude. I met Patrick at an African dance class just a few weeks after we arrived in Burkina. Patrick told me about a project that he founded called Atelier Silmande, through which he brought music, fun, and laughter to children throughout Burkina Faso. It was a mobile operation. He would pile dozens of djembes into his van and drive to outlying neighborhoods and even rural villages to sing, dance, and drum with the children. Patrick invited me to come and participate with him in some of his workshops, where I had the opportunity to sing and dance with the children too. It was an incredible experience. Here are some pictures from some of those workshops that we did together. One day, Patrick spoke to me about the refugee camps in the north of Burkina and the Malian children there at risk of being recruited by terrorists. He felt the urgent need to help them. His idea of taking music to the children, music which would spark their spirits and help them to imagine a brighter future for themselves. He said that music is a human right which all children deserve. Well, that really got me on board. And then we got our choir, Les Voix de la Fille, on board. And we put on a fundraising concert and raised seed money for Patrick to start his music program in the refugee camps. With the seed money, Patrick was able to apply for a larger grant through the US Embassy. The US Embassy's special grant was approved, and Patrick was able to travel to the north and bring music, joy, and hope to hundreds of Malian refugee children. This was a musical project, but it was also specifically aligned to the broader embassy mission of countering both stigmatism and violent extremism. All the singers in Les Voix de la Fille and David and I were so blessed and grateful to have been part of the effort to make this possible. I want to share with you a short clip from a video, a music video that Patrick made. This is a song from a CD that he put together to highlight the conditions in these camps. The video begins with a spoken part where it's very short. A Malian refugee woman is speaking in French about the challenges of living in a refugee camp. And then you will see pictures from the camp. These are very unique pictures. The camps in the north of Burkina Faso are in what we call a red zone. So foreigners could not travel there. And security was really quite a problem. So to be able to have someone access the area and take these pictures is quite remarkable. So I wanted to share with you just a clip from this video.
De venir ici, de estar ici des temps comme ça, en vent chaud, il n'y a même pas de l'eau, il n'y a rien pour le moment. Être réfugié ici, vraiment, c'est pas possible. C'est trop difficile. C'est trop difficile. C'est trop difficile.
Mamita dunia, Shantabe, Mamita tintulu, Santabe, Nikem song zibe, Moya song zibe, Biga zibe, Pa zibe, Boyi mon poba. Ye vi maya kalaka, Ye duni vi maya kalaka, Yaro kwalgo. Sindiga ya urukolo chacun passait d'y ya urukolo.
Unfortunately, terrorism was a constant threat in pretty much every post where we lived. So there definitely were plenty of challenges as well in our foreign service life. David, could you talk about a challenging time that you had?
Well, there were challenges. Let me pick an issue that is very topical, and those were the elections, the U.S. Presidential elections in 2016, when I was chargé d'affaires, which was the acting ambassador at that moment in Burkina Faso. And we had supported Burkina Faso on its very fragile transition to democracy from a longtime strongman through a coup to free and fair elections in 2015. And we had the privilege of supporting and accompanying the Burkinabe people, observing at the polls, supporting the National Election Commission, and witnessing the solemn inspiration and hope and confidence of the Burkina people. And they had a successful civilian transfer of power for the first time for them. So we wanted to showcase American democracy. And we were humble and said, well, it's still a work in progress. We're much more mature as a democracy, but there's still issues and challenges. We organized an all-night affair at the embassy to showcase American democracy, to explain the arcane electoral college, to let people pose with cutouts of Hillary and Donald. And we had CNN, we had maps, we had blue and red states. So over the course of the evening, as we got to the morning of our all-nighter, we realized that there were going to be surprising results. And with some personal dismay, myself and colleagues took note of that, but we were professionals representing the United States, and we had to pivot, revise our talking points. And I faced the local press, and I stressed the strength of American democracy, but it can be messy. The people have spoken. There is a new president, it seems, Donald J. Trump, but there will be a peaceful transfer of power. And I stressed then the strength of American values and American institutions. Now, we've gone through a challenging time now, culminating in the awful events of this week. And like I thought then, I do think now that American democracy, institutions, and values will prevail and will continue to be a good partner and model for other democratic countries. Now, State Department, like other agencies, has suffered some challenges and taken a beating. But I firmly believe, knowing dedicated, expert people who remain in the ranks of the civil service, that the State Department will quickly rebuild and be able to face problems, challenges, and opportunities. And so any young people watching or friends and family of young people, I encourage you to think about the Foreign Service. It is just an amazing and fun career and life for families. It's not for nesters. You have to thrive on change and diversity and connection.
We joined the Foreign Service because we wanted to play a role in helping our government work towards a world community with peace, freedom, and justice for all. Well, that sounds kind of grandiose, but it's actually true. And it also happens to be the 6th UU principle. We did want our children to grow up understanding and respecting the interdependent web of all creation. We wanted to be part of seeking to build justice in human and national relations. Those are also UU principles. We are so grateful that we were able to play a small part in that mission in the US Foreign Service. One of the songs that I taught my choir in Burkina happens to be hymn number 1023 from our UU hymnal, Building Bridges. This is our closing hymn today, sung for us by a beautiful quartet from our UUCR choir, Lisa Gunderman, Lena Mikela, Kara Fortner, and Ali Sonovitsky. The words will be in your chat box. This song is a round, so after you hear it sung once through, the singers will break into a 4-part round. Just pick one of them to sing along with and sing in harmony with the others. Please sing along with our quartet, Building Bridges.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach our divisions? With all of our voices and all our visions, I reach out to bridges between our divisions. With all of our voices between our divisions, I reach out to bridges between our divisions. With all of our voices between our divisions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. With friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Friends, we can make such sweet harmony.
Our closing words are from the Moore language, the majority language in Burkina Faso, and the mother tongue of our friend, musician Patrick Cabré. Neyi beyogo, wenakod panga, nug bien powokad zomye. This means, good morning, that God give you strength. One single finger cannot collect all the baking flour, which means this is the quintessential Burkina sense of the power of community. And so it takes more than one single finger to succeed or make any accomplishment. So this really stresses the power of community and connection.
We end with the song Connected, this time in the virtual choir format that we created last June, combining the two choirs. The words to the chorus will be in your chat box if you'd like to sing along.
I-M-U-Army. That's what I said, I-M-U-Army. Don't you see, I-M-U-Army. That's what I said, I-M-U-Army. Don't you see, I-M-U-Army. That's what I said, I-M-U-Army. Don't you see, I-M-U-Army. That's what I said, I-M-U-Army. Don't you see, I-M-U-Army. That's what I said, I-M-U-Army. Don't you see, I-M-U-Army. That's what I said, I-M-U-Army. Don't you see, I-M-U-Army. That's what I said, I-M-U-Army. Don't you see, I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start. It's a fact, subatomic. I am you are me. It's a fact, subatomic. I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start. I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start.
Cynthia and David, thank you so much for serving the U.S. and thank you so much for sharing your experiences and that marvelous music and videos with us today. I know you've brought me even more hope for our country and the world. On the second Sunday of the month, like today, we devote our full offering to a community organization. Today, our offering is going to OR, Offender Aid and Restoration. OR rebuilds lives and breaks the cycle of crime with opportunities, alternatives, and resources for justice-involved individuals and their families to create a safer community. OR provides services in Fairfax, Loudoun, and Prince. We invite all of you, members, friends, and visitors, to donate to help rebuild lives. Please enter the link on the slide into your smartphone and donate to OR. Checks mailed to the church are gratefully received with OAR in the memo line. Listen to the music, make your offering, and at the end of this slide, please log off and join us in our virtual Greet Your Neighbor space. Let me encourage you in the Greet Your Neighbor space to talk about, given the events of the last week and the last 4 years, what you might do to better connect with people with different views.
We are family.